Well, welcome to the show. We're going to be starting here in a minute. Welcome to News with a View, a Fat Cat production hosted by me, John A. Costa. Today is September 9th, 2025. This is episode 127. Appreciate you being here. I am doing a live feed going out right now. No edits on it. This is going out exactly as you see it. It'll probably be a day behind. I think I have my audio problem fixed. I'm not quite sure why I'm only getting one channel through my headset, but two channels are going out. Got to be happy for what you got. Today, we're going to discuss judge under fire in North Carolina for releasing a known violent criminal who murdered a Ukrainian refugee. So we'll be discussing all the aspects about that. Supreme Court throws out 90-year-old precedent, allows Trump to fire FTC commissioner. This is a story by Daniel Shockey, and it's wrong. That narrative is fake. So we'll discuss that. Florida Democrat McCormick under investigation for alleged campaign fraud. That's a interesting case. Stoudemire, Supreme Court Justice Stoudemire, rallies against LA immigration raid ruling in her dissent, and we'll discuss that. All right, so remember August 22nd of this year, a woman was attacked on the light rail system inside, I think, Charlotte, North Carolina. Was it Charlotte? Well, or Raleigh. Judge Teresa Stokes had freed Decarlos Brown Jr. in January and just made him sign an agreement that he would show up for court. And let this guy loose. And this guy was a violent criminal instead of incarcerating him. Now, this has happened before, and this will happen again. Let him out on his signature. And he ends up murdering a young woman unprovoked. I mean, if you saw the video, it's horrifying. And literally mutilated her, slaughtered her. For some unknown reason. And this judge should be held responsible. And we'll talk a little bit more as the story goes on. How this is going to be a key discussion starting now by the Republicans used against Democratic crime prevention. Forget about the cost of beans, the cost of eggs, the cost of gasoline. None of that matters to you if you're dead. None of that matters to you if one of your family members is attacked, murdered, maimed, injured, scarred. That just falls off the edge. Quality of life issues. Being able to ride a train, being able to walk down a street, being able to send your child to school, being able to sit on your stoop, go to your job, drive, and not be murdered. Now, even in the best of systems, capital crimes like this happen. They happen. But in 90% of these cases, the criminal should never have been allowed on the street. The illegal should never have been in the country to commit a crime. And you can see how the Democrats, how the liberals, how the progressive wants to make crime normal. Now, this is just a normal everyday happening. This is what you have to expect. Now, I will make the reversed argument, as I always do, where you could say, well, guns. If this person wasn't able to get a gun, they wouldn't have been able to kill these people. The difference is that we're allowed to buy guns. The Second Amendment allows it. There is no amendment that allows murder. If you murder someone with a gun purchased legally through the Second Amendment, you're going to have to face the consequences for that. Now, I do agree. People with mental disorders, people with violent backgrounds, people charged with a criminal act, be it a robbery or be it a domestic violence type of thing, charged, but you have the right to challenge that in the court. You have the right to challenge if someone says you're not mentally competent, you have the right to challenge that. We don't have the right to challenge when a judge releases someone dangerous out onto the street. We have no idea that that is happening. And as such, that is the problem. Now, the FBI has gotten involved, Patel and Duffy. And they say, and that was in Charlotte. I was right, Charlotte, not really Charlotte. They're investigating it. And stay tuned, he added on his social media post on X, suggesting the federal probe could reveal more than what has been disclosed so far. Now, that's all nice and that's wonderful. We need people who have to take responsibility. When the judge allowed this individual to use his signature to return to the next court appearance, that judge should be held responsible. And what the argument on people say, well, the judge is immune to that. The judge can't be held responsible. He's only there to met out and take the law into consideration and exercise his responsibilities. Well, his responsibility is also to make sure we're protected. And when they don't, they should be held responsible. This guy was a violent criminal. And I say the same is true in New York, where some guy jumps over the turnstile and then pushes someone onto the track. This wasn't a guy that entered it legally. You think he used his Metro card and swiped it to go down there? You think that the hammer he used to break into your car, to break your window, was bought at Home Depot on a credit card or cash? You got to be kidding me, folks. This has to stop. And I understand the idea of, having rights. You have a Fourth Amendment right. You have a Fifth Amendment right. You have these things. But we also have rights too. And their rights can't infringe upon my rights. My rights can't infringe upon their rights. And that's why we have laws that say this is a crime and this is not a crime. But if you're going to not exercise the law, why the freak have it? Just so you could jam someone else up? This judge should be, this judge should have to speak on why she did what she did. And I don't say, harass her or follow her or do anything. This is Judge Teresa Stokes out of North Carolina. And nothing she should have to explain why she let this criminal go. The ADA who was handling this case, I'd like to hear, did she object that he just be let go? Because 95% of the time, the ADA has to agree with the judge. The judge, I disagree. I think this guy should be locked up. And, he's a menace. He's proven that, he's a problem. Let's keep him off the streets. Or at least now let him get bonded out. His signature? An ROR? I mean, come on. Come on. We know why he was released. Let's start calling them as they are seen. We know why this person was released. We all know it. We all know why. Now, Representative Randy Fine from Florida, a Republican, going to use common sense here, is preparing legislation that would hold judges accountable for releasing violent repeat offenders. A move directly prompted by the fatal stabbing of the Ukrainian refugee on the Charlotte Light Rail train system. Now, they throw in Ukrainian refugee. I don't care that she was a Ukrainian refugee. She was a human being. I mean, you could shed more light that and sadness that she was escaping the Ukraine to come here and to be murdered by a savage. By a savage. Court records show Brown had a lengthy criminal history, including convictions for armed robbery, felony larceny, and breaking and entering. This was not a nice guy. This wasn't a guy that, was down on my luck and he stole from his employer, and wouldn't make him a nice guy either way. But we saw what he has done, and maybe what he was being arrested for didn't seem that bad. when it happened, and they go, well, all right, he was homeless, petty larceny or something like that. But they have to look at his overall criminal history. And go, this guy has a pattern. And if this was for an assault or something before that, I'd skew that judge. I'd skew her anyway. I would just want to know why you released this individual. Did this individual adhere to seeing his parole officer or whoever he needed to see? Did he have a lawyer? Was he in contact? Did he meet all the standards necessary? January to August, I would have expected him to have at least 1 or 2 hearings, pre-hearings. And didn't. Not that we know of, not that it was spoken of. So Randy Fine out of Florida is preparing legislation to make it, and it won't happen. It's impossible to have happen. It would be nice, but it couldn't be. You couldn't be done. But what could happen is that this judge could be looked at all her other. How many people has she let out before? How many people has she just come in there and just said, no, you get released? And, hey, you be a good person. Don't do this again for the 14th time. What do you think, people? Leave a comment. What do you think? Menace. Absolute menace. And liberals don't care. They honestly do not care. Unbelievable. All right. The third thing I said, the Supreme Court throws out 90-year-old precedent allowing President Trump to fire FTC commissioner. And Daniel Shockey wrote this article and byline, and this was, I think I grabbed it off of MSN, but it was not an MSN show. They just picked it up and put it up on their website, their news site. When I say the bias in the news, she's exactly what I'm speaking about. And it doesn't happen often, but it's happening a lot now against Trump. It's just fake news. The Supreme Court hasn't thrown out the Humphreys probate case or reversed it. That is not what just took place. The Supreme Court shadow docket, which is an emergency, immediate, you have judges that are, you have justices that are assigned, from certain districts when there's an emergency decision to be made, that they handle it. So this was Justice Roberts. And all he did, and they're saying Supreme Court shadow docket ruling could remove roadblocks for Trump to remake the Federal Reserve by firing Lisa Cook. And this is all part of the whole thing. Can Trump do it? So, Chief Justice Roberts issued an administrative stay Monday that effectively puts the 90-year-old Supreme Court precedent on the brink of being overturned. Humphreys probate. Any of you who do not know what that is, you can look it up. But in short, I'll give you a quick 1-minute timeline. In 1934, or in the 30s, during President Roosevelt, that's Franklin Delano, FDR, after his first recovery plan, which was the National Recovery Act, was found to be unconstitutional, then he tried the New Deal. Now, during that time period, the FTC chairman, Humphreys, fought him tooth and nail. This is socialism. You can't do it. It goes against the principles of what we're doing here. And finally, FDR got tired of him and goes, "You're fired." And fired him. And Humphreys turned around and said, "Oh, I'm going to take this to court." So it went up through the stairs, to the Supreme Court. In the process of doing all that, he had died. Now, FDR goes, "Well, problem kind of solved itself. Didn't want to see that happen that way, but, you know." But Humphrey's wife, in settling his probate, his affairs, went to the Supreme Court and goes, he should not have been fired. And they went through, and the Supreme Court said, no, he should not have been fired just because Humphreys was going against the policy that the president wanted followed, that he was fighting with him about it. And since he was approved and appointed by this, approved by the Senate, confirmed by the Senate, what should have happened is that he could have, Roosevelt could have gone to the Senate and said, he's ineffective. I can't have him there. He's ineffective to my plans. And as such, I'm the boss. He listens to the boss or he gets fired. And I'm going to fire him. I want him fired. And then he can go to the Senate, plead his case, and the Senate decides, no, you got to play nice. He didn't want to do that, so he fired him. The same thing with Trump. My personal belief, and I've said this before, this was one of the things where I said, I don't know if Trump could win it. If Trump had gone to the Senate and said, the guy's ineffective, he's slowing my plan down, I demand that you call him back, you tell him he must follow my orders. And then if he doesn't, then he's ineffective. There's reasons, then he's insubordinate. There's reasons inside that then they could go, President, you can do what you want to do. And he fires him. And that's it. But there's a process. And the process is out there now. The courts could rule and go, he's ineffective. That's what Trump is saying. But Trump really didn't say it like that, and neither did FDR. Because if he gave a cause, and there's 3 causes for being fired, the person being fired has the right to go to the Senate and plead his case and go, no, I'm not being ineffective. I'm doing exactly what you people here ratified me for. So I think in this broad case, I think Trump will lose it. I don't think he'll win this case. I understand, and it's a victory, but he would have to really have a solid reason why. And because he doesn't like me, or he is not going along with the plan. I don't know. So the ruling made without explanation on the court's emergency docket allows President Donald Trump to proceed with his firing of Rebecca Kelly Slaughter, despite a lower court and D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals having blocked the action just last week. Well, yeah, that's why we have a Supreme Court. And these guys could go, no, no. But now Slaughter can go to the Supreme Court and go, I want an opinion. And I want my, the lawyer can go out there and plead the case. Not plead the case, but plead the ruling. And the court can turn around and go, no. Or we don't even have to hear it. Which I really think they will have to hear it. They can't just go, no, we're not going to hear it. Though they could, I don't think that would be a good thing. So, but when she said throws out, it wasn't thrown out. Where Shockey says Supreme Court throws out 90-year-old precedent. No, they didn't throw it out. They put a 90-day stay on it. And now both sides have time to take their position. And that is, again, where the bias in the news comes across as, Trump did this. This is what he did. Bad Trump. It wasn't the case. All right. Out of Florida again. It's interesting that this is all a lot of Florida. The FEC, Federal Election Commission, has launched an investigation into Representative Sheila McCormick, a Democrat, with complaints alleged her campaign violated federal and state laws surrounding campaign finances. McCormick's campaign began working with Mark Goodrich. Now, he was a political consultant a political consultant works with both sides of the party. Whoever's paying me, that's who I do the work for. There are some people that, Republicans like, there's some people Democrats like, and there's some people that both sides like and go, that's the guy I'd like. That's the person I'd like working for my group. And Mark Goodrich is one of those people. He had worked for Republicans in 2021 while running a special election for the Florida House seat she currently represents. The complainant is the Coolidge-Reagan Foundation, and they filed the complaint August 11th. Based on an investigation by the Office of Congressional Ethics, the OCE. You don't like them coming after you. Saying that the campaign failed to report illegal in-kind contributions from an organization with ties to Goodrich and the Congresswoman's family. So, they're saying they were illegal campaign. Now, if she lies about it, if she tells them, well, no, that didn't happen, and then it really did happen, she could be censured, just like Schiff was for lying. Remember? Adam Schiff was proved to be a liar and lied, and as such was censured. Instead of being, they should have removed him, but they couldn't. They just don't have enough. There's not enough votes either way to go, to do it the legitimate way of removing people in those positions. They have rules. So you couldn't muster enough votes. Couldn't muster enough votes. So she's kind of in trouble. Now, I don't know what type of money they're talking about. I don't know if where Goodrich, what the actual complaint is, that if he went to his people and said, hey, this is a good person, throw her some money, I don't know if that's a problem. Though if they were giving the money to other people to give, yeah, that could be a problem, because if you already gave money, you had a threshold limit that you could, give, and then all of a sudden you give it. Now here, I'm going to give you $1,500. You give it to her. I'm going to give you $1,500. You give it to her. I give you $1,500. But it all came from the same pocket. That's a problem. So if that's the case, she has a problem. If she turned around and said, I had no idea this was happening, but how were they able to reach family members? How, it'd be a tough act to follow. So we'll see what happens with that. And we'll just see what happens with that. But all this stuff, believe me, all of this stuff will show up on the campaign trail. And 2026, the Republicans will have a lot of aha moments against the Democrats. And the Democrats are not going to be able to field, yes, I'm a crook, but I'm a good crook. Or, yes, I released these criminals and didn't hold them back because of what? The law allows me to. Well, the law allows you to protect me too, and you chose not to. Explain yourself. And these are the things, these are the type of questions that are going to be thrown at the Democrats, and they can't be answered. They can't be answered. And if they even attempt to answer it, they'll be torn to pieces. Because common sense will prevail. All right, Justice Sotomayor, or Mayor, on Monday blasted the Supreme Court's decision to lift restrictions on Los Angeles area immigration stops based on criteria like speaking Spanish or working in certain professions, calling the ruling unconscionable, irreconcilable with our nation's constitutional guarantees. No, what she is saying, in essence, is that detective work, profiling, the police can't use that. If a little person committed a crime, and I said, I'm only looking for little people, but I can't do that. I have to stop anyone over 6 feet tall and question them too. That makes sense? No, doesn't make sense. So, we all know what a Mexican looks like. We all know what a South American looks like. We all know what they look like. It's a characteristic. It's not being racist. It's just having the facts. I know what a person from Asia looks like. I know that most of the people that are here illegally work in the farming industry. Or are day laborers. So my spidey senses tell me go there and ask there. I'm not going to go into the 86th floor of the financial district and start looking. I might find someone there. I might. But I'm going to go to where known. I'm going to go to the parking lot of Home Depot, Lowe's. I'm going to look there. I'm going to look on farms. I'm going to look on buses transporting field workers down the road. I'm going to look up school records. Tag those children's parents back to see if, I don't see any birth records here for them. And federal, I can go to any state and find that information out. Can't find it. You can't go to a school and register a child and not have a social security number for the parent and the child. Can't happen, folks. Because that's how the government distributes money. And they know that they're there. So when she goes constitutional guarantees, there are constitutional guarantees. But those constitutional guarantees does not stop the police from using that information to target individuals. So we should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work low-wage jobs. Now, in that breath, I agree with her. But let's look deeper on why we are looking at those people. Why are those people being singled out? And I'll tell you why. Because Obama, Biden, Bush, they allowed them in. They stuck over the border. They didn't follow our immigration laws and procedures. So, because I go into a bank and rob it and get out the front door and onto the street, do I get to keep that money? I'd like to hear from you folks on that. So if I'm a white male that robs a bank and they just start asking only black people, where were you? This is about a bank robbery that happened. Then I could see, that's a constitutional violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. Absolutely agree with you. If a black male committed a crime and they stop me and they go, well, a black male just committed a crime, where were you? Why are you stopping me? I'm not a black male. Then they're violating Other than to ask, did you see anything? Did you see a black male come running by here? No, but if they stop me and question me, where were you? We're investigating a crime, and well, who are you looking for? They got to have a reason. You speak Spanish? You're brown? You work in a field? Yeah. That's probable cause. They're not stopping Sunday school nuns. They're going to where these people are known to be. In communities, they know. And the law allows them to investigate and ask. And in cases, detain. So, and rather than standing idly by while our constitutional freedoms are lost, I dissent. The liberals who created this are now crying foul. And I used this before. A child murders their parents, then goes to the judge and pleads for mercy. Please, Your Honor, please, I'm an orphan. I have no parents. I'm an orphan. Well, an orphan because you murdered your parents. Let's go to see why you think these freedoms are lost. They're not lost. You have that freedom right now, not taken away. Nowhere in the Constitution did someone say, nope, that Constitution now doesn't exist. So when I hear this, this is coming from people that really have no understanding, or they have an understanding, they just don't care. They don't care. They have a liberal agenda, and that agenda was to let anyone into this country and have no borders. Their agenda was to get these people onto voting rolls. Make no mistake about that, Obama and Biden, this was to get these people on voting rolls. And in a lot of states, these people can vote on state issues, on state votes in cities. Make no mistake about it, this was done with the agenda of voting. And if you don't think that's the truth, then you have no idea what's happening around you. Bob in New York. All right. Keeping this to 45 minutes. This is Tuesday. What's Tuesday? Tuesday's card nights. I did not do a show yesterday. Things were just too fluid. And there are some things I really would like to talk about. And I don't. This allowing ICE now in California, because this was a California issue that now has a ruling that other judges in other districts in other states know that if they fight it, they're going to lose it. Now, they might fight it anyway, but there's a ruling now by the Supreme Court, and this now paves the way for Trump to go into Chicago, to go into New York, to go in anywhere. in the United States. Very silly and very foolish of the Democrats to fight Trump on many of these issues that they have now lost and is settled. That's it. Done. It'll be 10, 20, 30 years before you bring this back in front of the courts. And, you know, that's just not going to happen right away. No matter if you win or you lose, it's just not going to happen. The whole strategy of the left was to fight Trump. Instead of getting on board with Trump and going, we understand what you want to do. And yes, you could use a sledgehammer to put a thumbtack in. But why? You can just push it in with your finger. Well, you don't need a sledgehammer. So let's talk. And would they had approached the president, who loves to make deals, who loves to come out and go, I got the best deal I could get. You chose to fight with him. And you forget that if Trump wins his arguments with the courts, you lose that forever. And he gets to go and do what he wants to do and go, I was right, you were wrong, this is what we're doing, this is what they voted me to do. Look at me, folks. They tried to stop us. We won. Now, if Trump loses it, nothing has changed. Tomorrow is the same as today. And Trump gets to go, I wanted to do this. I still think they're wrong. But, you know, we can't go down that road. I'm being stopped. And then when bad things happen, he gets a point and goes, those guys. This wouldn't have happened if you let me do what I wanted to do. He wins. You Democrats don't understand that. You are just looking, you know, we're stopping. We're going to put roadblocks. Fight him, fight him, fight him, fight him. And you got nothing. You get nothing. And I'm not saying appeasement and roll over, but I'm sure some of these layoffs and some of the things that he's doing could have been massaged and not so bad for you guys. And you guys, the president could say, I got what I needed to get going, and you guys could go, we stopped the president from wiping this all out. But yet, you didn't go down that road. Instead, you have Newsom. His new words for this. Oh, he burned him. Oh, look at what Colbert just called Trump. Ugh. Doesn't mean anything. You are irrelevant. Democrats, you're irrelevant, and you put yourself there. And when I say Democrats, again, I'm not speaking of my neighbors or anyone else. I'm talking about the Democrats that are in power. You have made yourself irrelevant. So, it is your own doing, and there's no way out of it. The more you struggle in the quicksand, the quicker you go down. In 8 months of Trump, look at what he has done to you. And it's just going to continue. It is just going to continue. Because now you're not even going to be able to cry uncle, you know. I want to see you guys get tossed, and if the Republicans can't come through and do it, we'll get rid of them too. Because we are going with common sense. Common sense. All right, with that, I'm going to say enough. Give to a charity if you can. Make sure it's a legit charity. Don't become a victim helping victims. If you don't want to do that, give to a local food bank. We haven't in the last couple of weeks, just because we've been so busy with other things going on. But I do plan this week on stopping by and giving food. I've been bad. I'm going to fix that. Say a prayer. Prayer works. And with that, I'm going to say good night. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. I need subscribers. I got people watching, but I need subscribers. Just click on the subscribe button. I don't get anything. It's not a monetized channel. It allows me to do more on YouTube and move up the chain so more people can see it. But I can have views, but if I don't have subscribers, that hurts me. All right, with that, I am going to fade to black.